Okay, I'm going to put this first, people, and then what I did yesterday after this, okay? It is now June 19th, 2020. Sorry about the war zone. You can hear it in the background. It gets louder and beeping, and that's all those trades guys, those hard-working guys that work all day long, right, and then go home and kill themselves with fentanyl because they're so depressed. So anyway, we'll just, you can't stop the war, right? Because it's a war out here, people. It's a war on the poor. And with this political agenda to create more poor, to make more of a gene pool to pick from in terms of harvesting organs, who are the most easiest to target? Women and children. And old people, they target for their money. Uncle John. If Uncle John had no money, he'd be out at Crab Park sleeping in a tent if he didn't have us as a family. Okay? That's the bottom line. Alright? We live in a two-tiered system. So anyway, this woman right here, her name is Carol James. And back in the day when the BC Liberal government got into power in 2000, 2001, her and Jenny Kwong were the only two NDP in the House of Legislative Assembly in terms of a opposition party. Okay? So she is a well-seasoned, just like her hair, you can see. She is a well-seasoned politician who's been around for, 30 years at least, right? 20 years, 30 years, like she's been around forever. She's like one of those pillars. It's like when you go to a bar, they're always there. It's just when you go to a bar and there's always that one person or that one or two or three people that are like always there. It doesn't matter where you go, what bar, they're just there. Well, this is kind of like her, right? She's always there. So anyway, she's talking on about obviously the coronavirus. Okay, let me put this on me for a minute, okay? Because I'm not trying to defame this woman. I'm not trying to put her down. But then on the other hand, people, I've lost a lot of respect for her because back in the day when, Uncle John was getting me involved with politics, we used to sit and listen to this woman, right? Even before the BC Liberal government came in 2000, right? We used to listen to her when I was pregnant with ShaMay, for crying out loud. And that was like in 1995, right? 1996. Uncle John and I, we used to sit and listen to this woman till 6 o'clock in the morning with her partner in crime, Jenny Kwong, holding the BC Liberal government to account as they were cutting back on social service safety nets, the very social safety nets that illegally cut me off of welfare with 5 dependent children and threw me out into the abyss, right? That's when I was off of welfare for 6 years. But because I had founded the foundation, I was committed to continue working on that. So that's what I did, people. I mean, it was either that or I didn't know how to fight back. I didn't know how to fight back, people. And even when you try and fight back, you coming across bias and prejudice fucking judges and review boards and appeal boards, and because it all boils down to those portfolios, right? So anyway, that's the history on this woman. She's been around for like forever. She's like one of those pillars in a bar. It doesn't matter what bar you go to, you're going to find her there, right? That's how long she's been in this game. So for her to get up here and fucking just feed the public the old okie dokie in terms of that framework from 2015 to 2030, which comes from the UN under the UN 2030 agenda, right? That's specifically geared around securing government fucking essential service workers' futures, basically, because they want to make sure, people, that their pension plans, their benefit packages, their disabilities, and all this stuff is paid for first before anything else. And this is why we get manufactured poverty. Now, the reason I think I fight myself so hard against manufactured poverty is because I've been dealing with it my whole life, people. My whole life. Truth for Reality knows a little bit about me. If he's watching my videos, okay, he will understand what I'm saying in terms of I have been fighting myself personally against manufactured poverty for basically my whole life, okay? But because I was born a woman, came from basically a poor family, and I didn't marry into money, all right? I didn't marry into money, people. And because I didn't marry into money, it pretty much kept me at that manufactured poverty where it didn't matter what I tried to do and how I did it. It didn't matter, people. Like, I've tried to start companies in the past when I was younger. You know, I go through the process. I tried the foundation. It doesn't matter. It didn't matter. Nothing worked because the political, oh God, you know, it's like a heavy weight. You know, you can't be successful when everybody around you doesn't want you to be successful, and they box you into that poverty where you basically just stay there for the rest of your life. Well, what the government has done is they've just opened up that fucking gene pool of more people struggling in poverty. And what this woman is just saying here, at some point, I'll play just a little bit, right? She confirms that the majority of people who lost their jobs, right, through this coronavirus was mostly women, 60% women, right? And a lot of those jobs were in, like, service industry, right? Whether tourism, think of ShaMay, right? Or, you know, in restaurants and bars and places like that, right? I mean, you know, so on. And then retail, right? Retail stores. Outside of food stores, right? They had to keep the food stores open. Otherwise, people would have rioted and started looting, right? Because we're dealing with a well thought out political machine here, right? Okay? So, and of course, that impacts children. And then, of course, women look after family members, too. Like I used to look after Uncle John. So, I guess over 300,000 jobs since February have been lost in that's what they're saying. I'm sure there's more, but over, I think, 365,000 jobs have been lost in the province of British Columbia, Canada, since February, because of them trying to save us from dying. Okay, they're trying to save us from dying, but we really need to ask ourselves, who are they saving? They're not saving us from dying, because all those women and children that these people have basically forced deeper into poverty, it was enough that they were working at a service job in terms of, like, in a retail store or in a bar, or, you know, just a lower minimum wage in around that area, right? It was enough that they were working at that level and not going anywhere in life because the economy was so out of control with unaffordable housing, you know, gas is expensive, food is expensive, hydro going up every year in terms of, you know, pay more hydro, so on and so on and so on. And then if you got kids in school, you're looking at school fees and this fee and that fee, and you know, even when they were working, they were the working poor, right? Well, the working poor now have been kicked off the fucking grid because they've got still, you know, a good portion of the province on lockdown, right? And of course, they're, you know, saying that it's mostly women that can't seem to get back into the workforce because, you know, businesses aren't opening up or whatever. The point is, people, and this is the point, what these people done is have created that well so that they can go in there and target those vulnerable women with those vulnerable children, because the pattern, the system is already there. It's already in place. They've been doing it, people. They did it to my family, and they did it to my family repetitively. They didn't just kick me out in 2003 out of my house that I had lived in for 8 fucking years after I founded a foundation as I was looking after 5 dependent kids with Uncle John, a blind man who couldn't walk very well. No, that was done by design, people. And then they came in after 2010 was Ciera. 2012 was Ciera, right? 2013 with Andre. And then they went after Uncle John for the money because they lied to him and didn't tell him. As this government protects that, people. They protect thieving and lying and conniving and scheming, right? Because it propped up their old folks' home. That's what it did. They took him to take his money so that they can take a little bit out of the big pile and put it into their care home versus letting him live in his home that he built for himself and his family. But they weren't satisfied with that because they didn't want to get caught with what they did. So what did they do next? They went after fucking ShaMay. And then they went after Ciera. Why? Because I'm poor, people. I've been poor. I've been dealing with manufactured poverty my whole freaking life. And I can see what these people are doing. I'm telling you, they are setting up tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people to end up like ShaMay, to end up like Uncle John, to end up like Ciera, to end up like Andre, to end up like Amari, okay? All right. Amari was purposely injured at birth because Fraser Health Authority staff at the Surrey Memorial Hospital were retaliating against my family and against, right, my family for what they did, people, for what they did to Uncle John. And because I didn't stay quiet about it, so they fucking retaliated through negligence, through medical negligence. Not only were they giving ShaMay drugs to mask pain and sending her home day after day, right? But they dragged it out to the last fucking minute and then gave ShaMay some shoddy freaking, what do you call that, C-section, so that it caused, and we're talking major brain damage all up in here, people, for my grandson. Because they were retaliating against my family. Didn't matter who went in. They were retaliating against my family. Because I was fighting for Uncle John. For the crimes that they committed against Uncle John and his family. This is what this government, with their accord, with their framework, with their UN agenda, has set up another 200 to 500,000 families. I'm not even going to say individuals. I'm just going to say families because it just takes one person in the family, like me, to open up the door to pick off whatever is around us. Uncle John, they picked off. They picked off Ciera. They picked off Andre. They picked off ShaMay. They picked off Amari. Okay? That's 5 people in my family. They have picked off over a period of years through their legislation. Oh, well, it says, even though it doesn't even say that, they're going to fucking do what they want because they are harvesting us, people. So for this woman to get up here, a seasoned politician, and this is the point, she is a seasoned politician. For her to get up here and play lip service and act like she so cares about people like my family. Me. I've been watching this woman for years. And this is what I get. Forked tongue. And it confirms everything that Uncle John has told me. She is not interested in anything outside of making sure that her portfolio, when she retires from the government, is paid in full. Who cares if 365,000 people lost their jobs? When out of that 365,000 people, they're gonna make, through the underground economy, through the harvesting of organs illegally, okay, billions of dollars over a 5-year period, is that mayhem that comes in with the other ministries, right, to cause mayhem and havoc, so that when you get blindsided, you're so in grief that you don't realize that your son is hooked up to a machine but is actually dead, and that the hospital staff has been lying to you all along. Because that's what they do. They cause all this fucking drama so that when the shit really fucking hits, right, you're blindsided. You don't see the charade that's right up in front of your fucking face. Okay. They have created 365,000 to 500,000 families that they can prey upon. That's what I'm trying to say. Okay. They're not saving nobody. They haven't saved 169 deaths out of 5.2 million people, and the majority of those deaths, more than 70%, more than likely, have died in old folks' homes, with half of those old folks' homes, if not more, are privatized and being run by crooked Chinese people that just, you know, are buying up fucking Canada and harvesting us like freaking pigs, okay? Because that's basically what's going on. As these politicians sit up there and just give us lip service, and at the end of the day, live in their gated communities, right? With their pension plans, plotting even in fucking after retirement, how they're gonna get more money. Because that's what it is about them. It's more money for them. As they continue to manufacture poverty, breed racism, breed prejudice, breed freaking bigotry, and encourage government employees to commit criminal crimes against the general public. And where are they going to start with first, people? The women and the children and the elderly. They need that gene pool. Do you get it? They need to have a whole lot of fucked up people in order to go in there and pluck here, pluck there, pluck here, pluck there, pluck, pluck, pluck. Check this one out. Now, I don't need... Like, this is how fucked up shit is. Okay? Amari got a wheelchair. Okay, they wanted to give me a wheelchair. They insisted that I should have a wheelchair. I use buggies. Okay, but whatever. Okay, you know, it's got, you get a little bit covered from the government, and then, you know, you have to ask for the, you know, children's, you know, the, whatever, the... some organization to top it off. So, you know, you're begging for charity, or you're asking for charity. And I'm like, okay, whatever. I don't feel I should have to ask for charity for a wheelchair if you're telling me I need this wheelchair. You know, it should be covered under this government healthcare system in full. I shouldn't have to go outside of the box in order to cover the fucking wheelchair, because the wheelchair, we'll just say, is $10,000. Right? And eventually he's going to outgrow it. Okay, but whatever. Right? Okay. I'll take the wheelchair. The wheelchair, you can go pick up the wheelchair, right? It's ready. He's here now. But the thing is, they don't want to see Amari if he's got a booger. Do you hear the war? Beep, 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 beep. Huh? The hardworking men that go home and kill themselves through fentanyl? Oh, but that's an emergency. An emergency they don't do shit about, right? It just makes more available spaces to bring in more immigrants, as they tell the public, you know, these white guys working out here in the fucking construction sites don't like to work. That's why they're bringing in all the immigrants, because the white guys in the construction sites don't like to work. They just like to work and then go home and kill themselves. right? Right? I'm not going to do anything about that, though, because you know they're harvesting those organs, too. They're just not telling you about it. So anyway, you know, like, you can't even have a booger in your nose. It's dusty, you're outside, right? Whatever it may be. It's just, like, stupid. And I'm like, Amari doesn't have a booger. And if he has a booger, I'm like, you know, like, so, oh, people. Oh, my God. And I'm like, oh, my God. What's going to happen when they come up with this vaccine? Are they going to tell me that Amari can't get services because he doesn't have the vaccine? Is that what it's going to come to in this province, people? Like, this is serious fucking shit. Okay? Right? If a child can't go get a wheelchair that these people insisted that he should have, even though I myself will probably never use it, or if I do, it won't be for a long time. Tisha will use it more than I will use it, right? I mean, eventually, yes, I can see with his disability, he's going to probably need it inside of the house, right? I'm starting to clear out shit. My whole life is falling apart. My whole life, people, is falling apart because Fraser Health Authority staff retaliated against my family, who happened to be a woman, a poor woman with children, who was looking after an old man. Everything that this fucking woman sits up there and talks about, who are the most at risk to falling through the fucking cracks in this society, because it's been like that forever. Forever. People like this don't like to see people like me rise above that poverty. They don't, because if we rise above that poverty, people, they have nobody to prey on. They manufacture the poverty. And now they've made it worse. Is there going to come a day where I'm going to go take Amari to one of these professional healthcare service places, right? The essential service worker. And they're going to deny me access to their services because I didn't inoculate Amari with Eleanor's poison? Dr. Henry Bonney's poison? Is it going to come down to that? Because if they're all concerned over a fucking booger, you can get a booger for any reason. Just saying, I'm using this as an example. If they're all getting freaked out over a fucking booger, what's going to happen when they come in and say, okay, we have the vaccine now. If you want our services, even though you're required to take them because Amari was injured at birth, so you don't really have a choice, right? Because if you refuse to come and bring him when we tell you to, right, we're going to come after you. And the only way you can bring him is by inoculating him. Do you see how I'm going to be cornered into that, people? Do you see? Is it going to come to that? Where the only way I'm going to be able to get by these people without them coming after me and attacking more of my family members, retaliating, because I stand up and say, no, I don't want you inoculating us. Okay, I don't believe in the old okie dokie of what you've been feeding us, because I know I can see the political agenda of the provincial government, regardless of whether it was the BC Liberal government or whether it was the fucking NDP. Right? It's all about politics. You know why? Do you want to know why the BC Liberal government closed down all the fucking colleges and then turned around and labeled them universities back in 2003, 2004, right? They didn't build 14 new universities. What they did is they shut down fucking so many colleges, closed them down, and then came in and labeled them a university so that 5 years, 10 years fast forward to where we are today, they can sell a lie to the parents in these countries to say, send your son to British Columbia, Canada, right? The best place to be because we've got this university, 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 this university for you to choose from. When in fact, they were nothing but fucking colleges. Their names were just changed in a blink of an eye. That's it. Because the political agenda was to not look after the Canadian kids, regardless of their ethnic heritage, not make it affordable for the Canadian kids to go to school out here. That's not what it was about. It was to put the name university so that some Chinese parents could say, yeah, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to send my son to British Columbia, Canada, to X university, to C university. As long as it's a university, I don't care. Because it has to be a university. Because if you attach the word university to it, it becomes more important. That's why they did it, people. And then once they got it in place, all of a sudden, all these international fucking students took over everything. Now, mind you, they're paying more than the average Canadian pay to go to school because they're from overseas. But that was the political agenda, was to get that money coming into BC. But then what did it do? It robbed ShaMay of her future. Why should they train ShaMay to become a nurse, somebody that she wanted to be, right? When they could get a student coming in from fucking India, China, wherever, fucking Israel, doesn't matter, coming in and paying twice as much to go to the same fucking school that if ShaMay was to go for the same thing. All politics, people. And of course they didn't tell you any of that shit back in the day. Oh, no. Of course not. You had to wait 10 years to go by to find out the fucking truth of the matter. With the numbers coming in terms of the international students overtaking our school systems out here. Simply because their parents can afford to do it. As our kids are being fucking hunted down, murdered, cops covering it up. Yep. If they're not participating in it directly. Okay. Seriously. Right? And they're harvesting their organs. Whether through the organ donation, so that people can, they're dead, but it's okay. We saved 8 people. Or they're doing it through the underground economy, which we know is happening. As these politicians have created now another 500,000 dire impoverished families. Okay? It's not just 365,000 jobs lost. For every 365,000 jobs lost, that's like a whole family that's been manufactured deeper into poverty, because those kids, when they go to school from those families, they are not going to get the opportunities that they need in order to rise above poverty. And ShaMay will show the way on that one, because the school system never helped ShaMay to rise above poverty, and she could have done it, but they didn't want her to do it, people, because they wanted their money coming in from overseas before they fucking would see ShaMay be successful. So they tried to put her in some industry, tourism, that they ended up shutting down in the long run anyway. But they still got these students coming in, filling up these fake fucking universities simply because the name university is on there, right? As you've got seasoned politicians crying on about, the poor women, the poor children, the poor elderly. You know what? No. You're not feeling sorry for us. No. You're gonna get up there in 5 years from now assuming that you're still alive, but you probably will be, because you've got enough fucking money in your fucking portfolio that when your fucking heart goes or your fucking kidney goes or whatever the fuck it is that's inside your fucking body, you'll just go off and buy something on the black market because it's available. If it's available and you're dying and you can afford to fucking put in somebody else's fucking organ into your body because you sit up there and manufacture that opportunity for your kind, and that's what's happening.
Outline, the people of our province have really pulled together in extraordinary ways when it comes to fighting COVID-19. And that hard work has shown itself in the successes we've had as a province in managing this pandemic and in the restart phase that we're in right now. Today is a call for all British Columbians to put that same energy, that same discipline, that same compassion and creativity into economic recovery.
Well, anybody can write words, people.
We know it's been a struggle for people over this last number of months. Thousands of businesses have closed to be able to do their part, and thousands of people have been out of work. It's too early to be able to calculate the full economic consequences of COVID-19, but we do know that the effect of this pandemic is as bad as any we've ever seen in the history of our province. Unlike previous recessions, this crisis came on suddenly, caused by a health emergency rather than over time within the economy itself.
Do you notice how they're not taking any responsibility for what the fuck has happened? They are taking absolutely none.
We've had to close many parts of our economy in order to prevent the spread of the virus, to prevent deaths, and to prevent further economic damage.
No, they did that so that they could clear out the fucking hospitals because they were getting tired of people laying up in the fucking halls with their bedpans like an Uncle John for 2 fucking days as you know, the numbers just getting larger and larger, and they didn't know what the hell to do with it. So they had to bring in a fucking boogeyman to scare everybody away. That's what they did, people.
There's also a difference in the way sectors have been impacted. If we look back to the financial crisis of 2008, for example, real estate and financial sectors were impacted. And this time,
that's a joke.
COVID-19 has hit the service sectors harder than others.
Well, yeah, because they're manufacturing poverty, people. They were already dealing with the fucking manufacture. They've just made a larger gene pool.
Our recovery will also need to look different than other downturns. The effects haven't been the same for everyone. Our province has lost 314,000 jobs. 314,000 jobs they have lost, but prior to that she was saying thousands of jobs. Which one is it? It's either thousands of jobs have been lost or 314,000 jobs have been lost, because thousands of jobs is very misleading compared to 314,000 jobs. And if you've lost 314,000 jobs, you're going to tack on double that by in terms of dependent family members that are dependent on those 314,000 jobs. So now you're looking at, what, 100 million people? Sorry, 100,000 people? Since February. And while we did see a little glimmer of hope in the most recent employment numbers, they don't come anywhere close to being able to address the job losses that people are experiencing. As we move forward with economic recovery...
Ambiguously, she didn't tell you how many jobs were created since this. She just said, and a little bit of hope. What the fuck is that? What? 200 people went back to work? 2,000 people went back to work? You still got 308,000 people not working? including that affecting their families, as their loved ones are being picked off one by one through that mayhem that is created because of that bullshit? Because that's how they do it. That's how they do it. They cut you off, they throw you fucking out, and as you're hanging on, trying to survive, right? That's when they come in like a fucking pack of hyenas, and they'll scoop up on one. They scooped up on Andre, right? And then, things will calm down, and then they'll scoop up on another one. They scooped up on Uncle John now, didn't they? Huh? And then, things will calm down, and then MK Ultra fucking killed a bitch. Next thing you know, ShaMay's fucking dead, right? There's that energy weapon. How do we know, people, that Julian wasn't under mind control? The energy weapon's going through my house. I had that dream. And then next thing you know, she's dead. But there was a political agenda behind it. Cop stood there, right? Fucking that, bounding on their check, the paramedic, looking at me, all guilty, because he knew ShaMay was dead. He knew, people. But they took her body anyway. And by the 7th hour, she was embalmed and gutted. Where do you think it all comes from? Comes from this shit. 314,000 families fucking destroyed? What do you think's gonna happen? Sorry, cut off the camera, I'm so upset.
It will be important for us to take a look at the magnitude of losses throughout sectors and to look at those who have been most affected. The economic effects are felt differently based on your age, your gender, your income level,
this is what I wanted
and the
you to
sector
hear.
that you work in. By far, the service sector has suffered the most, accounting for 90% of the job loss.
See, this is why I do this, because I wanted you to hear it from the horse's mouth. Did I just not say that? I didn't say 90%, but there you go. 90% of the job loss came in from the service sector, right? Because it was manufactured poverty. They need the buildings to keep going up, okay? They need the workers out there still working because they're selling off this. This is how they run their money. This is how they launder their money to the province of British Columbia, Canada, people, is through the housing market. They have to keep that economy going. Because they have to continue to run their fentanyl fucking sales and their fucking blood money through the housing market as they sell off BC to foreign buyers.
A large percentage of those have been in accommodation, food services, and retail trade. And when you look at those sectors, the lowest wage earners have been the hardest hit.
Of course. Manufactured poverty. Bring in the mayhem. Bring in the dysfunction. So that they can come in and help you.
The majority of job losses have happened to people who are making at, near minimum wage. That means young people and women have been the most vulnerable.
Oh, wow, young people, isn't that interesting? Well, I love those organs, nice and fresh and healthy, right? Women, you cut off the neck of the mother, and what happens to the rest of the family? Go back and do my videos. Cut off the neck of the mother, what happens to the rest of the family, people? We become victims to predators. That's what happens. Okay? We face discrimination. We face racism. Just because I'm white doesn't mean I don't face racism from the Punjabi community. Just because I'm white doesn't mean I don't face racism from the fucking Chinese community. Just because I'm white doesn't mean I don't face racism from my own white peers, because my children are mixed, okay? They just need an excuse to be racist towards you. And if you don't like the word racist, use prejudice or bigotry. You know, they're bigots towards you. They're prejudiced towards you. They're racist towards you. That's all they need to start targeting your family and picking them off one by one by one by one until there's nothing left. Because if you cut off the neck of the mother, what happens? Manufactured poverty. It's right there. I'm so mad.
The youth unemployment rate is a staggering 29%. And women make up more than 60% of the job losses in the hardest hit sector.
Oh yeah, cut off the neck of the mother.
Employment did slightly improve for both men and women in May, but a woman continues to be more likely, by 25%, to have lost their job than a man.
Okay, you know what? I'm going to end it there. I'm not trying to feature this woman. Because I told you, I was listening to this woman in 1995. 1996, 1997, 1998. I was listening to this woman when it was just her and Jenny Kwong up against the BC Liberal government. And you know what? After all these fucking years, you would think that this woman would have a little bit more fucking ethics about what she fucking does, being that she's been there like a pillar in a bar that never fucking moves, right? But she just feeding us the old okie dokie. She sounds like a broken record. Same old rhetoric when she was battling the BC Liberal government at 6 o'clock in the morning as Uncle John and I would sit there and watch her and her friend battle on with the BC Liberal government as they literally began to attack innocent and vulnerable families and started to sell off British Columbia, Canada to the Chinese and anyone else that had a whole lot of fucking money to come in here and start running fentanyl and heroin and then started in with their illegal organ harvesting, something that this government does absolutely nothing about as they continue to go after old people for their money, flush them out of their fucking houses, don't let them out of their temporary care wards to go back home because they want to take their money and put them into what is it called? Long-term care, and then make them pay for it. And then when they're done using them, they just turn off the fucking switch. And apparently now you've got the NDP running around making threats on hospices to either conform with killing people. If they want to die, kill them. It's their right to kill them. Or we're going to come in and take over your non-profit organization. Because the federal government changed a little law and put a little clause in there saying that if you want to die, you have a right to die and we'll help you fucking die. That's the new rule in British Columbia, Canada. And the non-profit is fighting back saying, no, that's not us. We don't work under those kind of ethics. Well, we're coming in. We're not going to fund you no more. And they're saying, okay, if you're not going to fund us no more, that's fine. But, and then the government, this fucking government, oh, well, that's not going to be good enough. We're going to come in and take over. What, you're going to come in and take over a non-profit organization that's been in existence for 15, 20 years, or whatever the fuck it is, just because they don't want to go around killing people? Like, what the hell? Seriously, people, what the fuck is that? Like, if you're gonna take over a non-profit organization because they don't want to fucking kill people through some, right to die and, shit. I'll put the video up. I'll find it. I'll put it up. You can watch it for yourself. Okay, let's just listen a little bit more. I'm gonna end it, okay? Because this stuff, seriously makes me so ill.
Women are also more likely to be shouldering the greatest caregiving responsibilities for their children and other family members. And let's remember, behind those statistics are people, businesses who are...
No, behind those statistics are victims and bodies to pillage.
...worried about their future and their children's future.
There is no futures in British Columbia, Canada, unless, of course, you're, above a certain income.
Rebuilding our economy after the outbreak is going to be a massive job. But we are starting from a place of strength with a great many advantages. Advantages like our capacity for research, innovation, and entrepreneurship.
For research. Let's hook up dead bodies. I'm going to leave it on that one. Let's hook up dead bodies on machines for 9 days and wire them up here and wire them up there and do this and do that. All for research, people. Because the more that we can get better at our game, right, the easier it will be to fool those victims as they come in through the system because of poverty, because of manufactured poverty, as the essential service workers come in to rescue those families who have been destroyed because of that manufactured poverty, right? Just cut off the neck of the mother and then watch it all come fucking crumbling down. Okay, people, so now it's June 17th, 2020. It's been so dismal, raining, extremely cold for like weeks. My plants are hardly growing because of that. Right? We had that little bit of sun there for a bit, but I missed it. By the time I planted mine, there's no sun for 2 weeks. But the trees are like blossoming. You can see what's going on with the trees. So anyway, I've got some beans over here and other things that need to go in the ground, which I'm going to do. Hold on. Okay, so now I'm in the X Club / painting room / greenhouse. I started taking out a lot of the plants. You can see I cleared it out on here, but I'm having to do major arrangements now, starting in my house, right? Because Amari's getting bigger and heavier, and so there's some things I need to clear out in the hall. And anyway, I've got this really, really nice children's Fisher-Price play desk that would fit perfectly in here. Doesn't really leak in here. Now I could try and, you see, people, I can't afford $600 to change this again to stop this leaking, but I might have to, because if I run 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, at least 5 at full length sheets at $60 a sheet approximately, you know, it won't leak in here. And if it doesn't leak, it's better for like storage, right? Because I don't like things rusting up on me because it's, you know, getting wet, right? This corner doesn't necessarily leak. So anyway, this has been up for a long time, and before Matilda or the cats try and crawl in here, I want to take this off and maybe somehow piece in a window, right? Just to brighten it up a little bit, you know, and get it winterized. So anyway, I'm going to work in here, start clearing this out to make room for the, that's what I'm trying to say, make room for the desk, and I'm going to do repairs in here. I'm going to do something, right? Because, you know, I got to do something with these windows. There's some windows right there. There's one. So I'm going to start measuring. This one here is going to be pieced in on this. So what will end up happening is I'll be cutting out a piece, bracing it with beams, and then fitting that in right into the spot that I made for it, and then you screw it in and it's good to go, right? So, you know, whether this ends up being a chicken coop or just another mini kind of like little greenhouse, it will be good. So I'm outside here, people. Hold on. Oh, and there's my rhubarb. You can see what's going on with that rhubarb. Hey, you see? It was cut tarred up and it's still leaking. Do you see that? Like, fuck, man, this it's so hard. I'm gonna have to do something with this, people. I have to. I don't, because it ruins everything. It's too hard to keep. If I can keep it dry without water coming in and run a light in the winter, nothing molds in here. But as soon as the water runs, leaking all over, fucking leaking, it gets into shit. It, you know, it creates extra work to wash, and it ruins stuff. And anyway. Okay, so today is June 18th, 2020. I'm outside. I'm going to start working on Mr. Lace's cat house. Alright, it used to be Mr. Lace's hen, like a pen, right? P-E-N, pen. His coop, right? His rooster coop. Anyway, you can see Matilda is like hovering around me. I gave her a bit of bread. She doesn't like watermelon. She's going to go investigate. Right? I'm going to be buying some dog food here pretty soon. Gave her some water. She's not going too far though, people. Where's she going to go? Hey? Seriously. Where is this poor raccoon going to go? Huh? No, look, now she's laying down. Where is she? Where is she? She laid herself down. Can't see. She's there. There she is. Matilda! Matilda! You're so close to being a dog. And oh, she comes inside, tries to raid the cat food box. I keep having to move it around the house and hide it. And that's why I'm going to get her some dog food, right? And, oh, raccoons smell so much like dog. And she's hanging out with me. I need to work. I'm going to come out there and work, Matilda. Yeah, I'm bringing out the skill saw. I'm going to start piecing in this window. That's what I'm going to do. And build up this garden bed here, right? So I can move some of that dirt from the front into it and just let it sit for the year. Wow. Look what I just did. Took off the screen. I'm going to try and fit that in there. I don't know how yet. I'm working on it. Okay, I'm just not strong enough to put this window in.
Okay, people, so we put it in window 1.
Window 1. It's in there.
See?
Pretty straight, too.
Yep.
What are we doing? Sharpening our what?
Game.
And that's pretty sharp. Look how sharp that looks. That
Yeah.
looks really nice.
Yeah.
This is going to look like you won't even recognize it when we're done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Window number 1. Andre helped me to lift it up and prop it up on a bucket and another bucket, right?
Oh!
Yeah.
And also this can happen too.
Yeah, it opens up too. Yeah.